Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today we finish bridging the gaps, and then we're seeing stars. Though, full disclosure, I do fully suspect that once we do get back out to the star map, we'll immediately be deluged with additional travel events. But, we'll play it by ear. That said, let's kick things off with a fleeting glimpse into the future of Forabundis and beyond. Idira? Hey, before I go, I was just wondering if you could perhaps do another reading. What are your voices saying about me since my time in Camorra?
All right, let's hear what they're whispering about you. The stone visage of the Emperor is fearsome, but it does not see the flames at his feet. The brow of the one who calls herself his retribution is crowned by an orbital halo of corpses. But they do not all burn the same. Cold calculation can break even righteous anger. There is a canister of promethium at your feet, and where to pour it is your decision alone.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well that's gotta be Incendia Corda, our cold but wrathful rival, and very, very outspoken zealot of the Emperor. And I think she actually did tell us, at least once, that she was in the habit of leaving literal halos of dead heretics orbiting around the planets that she had otherwise purged. That does lean into my general suspicion that this chapter will largely focus on our would-be rivals. I'm guessing we've got Winterscale next?
In the labyrinth of a strange world, vengeance is served in procession. An eye for an eye. The spilt blood of those who see leads to revenge against those who were blinded. And drawn by the scent, a sickened beast comes running, baring its teeth. Its taming is a sham and leads to a crossroads. Wash out the poisoned blood. Revel in it. Or soak the earth in scarlet.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that is definitely Caligos Winterscale. A sickened beast with poisoned blood, prowling a strange world. So that's got to be Trimmier. And the blood of those who see, that's the Farseers from Crudarach. So this does also seem to lean into the general suspicion that Caligos has been led astray by the forces of chaos, likely Khorne. Which actually is quite fitting, because it means the three traitors of the Coronis Expanse are all essentially icons of their respective ideologies. You've got Incendia Corda as the classic dogmatic, you've got Winterscale as the heretic, and then you've got Valen as, I guess, iconoclast, but really more Benevolentia, the original name before they changed it. Three clashing ideologies, each taken to relative extremes, each with their own pros and cons. I mean, obviously, not everything Valen does has ideal results. So who else have we got? Conrad? Calcazar?
The clockwork heart of a forbidden relic beats out of rhythm, grating more with every throb. He who started on your path with you will make a way for daybreak. In the foundry depths, a devastating blade is forged, one that you cannot hold. To unsheath it is to call down doom and destruction.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's gotta be Nomos. Just the Clockwork Heart and the Foundry, I might be suspected to say, would point towards Pascal or Amernot. But that bit about being with us since the start of our path, and mention of Daybreak really does seem to lean towards Nomos instead. since Nomos has been with us, technically speaking, since as far back as when we first laid eyes on the Warrant. Pask didn't join us until we reached, Rykad Minoris. I'm guessing the foundry mentioned here is either Kiava Gamma, where we know Theodora and Cubus Delphine carried out a number of experiments as part of their grand plot, but it could also be Epitaph, whatever or wherever that might be.
I'm sorry, Lord Captain. The voices are going wild. I can't make out a thing. I'll try to rein them in somehow, but for now...
And that's it. Okay. So Act 4 will focus on Corda, Winterscale, and Nomos. Thank you, Adira. You've given me a lot to think about.
Of course. Always at your service.
Yeah, so I guess they're saving Conrad and Kalkazar for Act 5. The grand finale. I guess that does make sense. Let's see what Kibbles has to add.
Take heed, Nemo. Our blessed Domin honors us with a visit. The one who delivered this ark from the curse of your existence.
Right, yeah, I forgot we were still doing this. Okay, well, Kibbles, if I could tear you away from your friend there for a moment, I could use your help with something.
Ask, Domin.
Well, I was hoping for a reading. I assume you've still got the Emperor's Tarot?
Ask the cards, Domin, and I will listen.
During my time away, the Coronis Expanse seems to have just fallen into ever deeper and darker shadows. What can the Emperor tell us of the days ahead?
The Maw, the galaxy, the monster inverted, the executioner. Something is coming. It is inevitable. Soon the expanse will tremble, and you will be the cause. You are not the beginning, but you will be the end. Some will see you as death, others a powerful force. Still others as a portent. Or you might simply fade into nothing.
Gabella shudders as she looks at the tarot spread before her. Okay, well, I mean, ominous, certainly ominous, but also very, very vague. Like you could apply this to the main overarching plot lines of many other similar CRPGs. Some grand looming threat, set in motion by events before your character's arrival, but with your character, of course, ultimately deciding how they resolve. Anything else?
I have told you everything I can, Domin. But there may be more to this than I can see.
Right, so just very broad, generic readings, which, to be fair, is pretty stereotypical of an actual tarot reading.
May the Undying One shroud your footsteps from the faithless.
Ditto, kiddo. Also, you probably already noticed, but look at this thing. That is a serious fashion upgrade. Always a secondary concern to actual, functionality, but in this particular case, just happened to happily coincide with an actual tangible upgrade. I also slotted in various other new bits of gear, though nothing particularly out of pocket. It's all stuff that I think I alluded to when we were going through that giant sea of various new gear. We've got our demo kit on Ulfar, our new bolt pistol. I don't think we gave anything to Yurley yet. Not much point, I suppose. Though Cass did get this, the new navigator staff. And Pask. My goodness, look at this guy. Another major fashion upgrade that also just happens to go hand in hand with a tangible numerical upgrade. My boy's gone full beast mode since getting reorganized. Then I think I also tossed him some new boots. Yeah. Good stuff. Looking forward to getting it out in the field. Speaking of which, let's round things out with one last chat with Yerliet.
The Dark City released us from its thorny embrace. The wounds of the body will heal. But what about the wounds of the soul? Kruderok fell, and its demise shattered the fragile lives of countless children of Osirian. Scattered across this part of the galaxy, hounded by the monkey, pursued by the Dark Cousins, imprisoned by the servants of She Who Thirsts.
Yerliet's hand brushes against the crimson stone embedded in her chestplate.
Hatred is strangling me like a snake, and fear is coursing through my body like a burning poison. For the path I chose is leading me down the roads of failure. I can neither hold back my grief nor rein in my anger. And yet, I am powerless to stray from my path. Pay no heed to my fleeting wrath, Alantok. When the will slips away, the soul trembles with rampant emotions. But I will resign my heart to meekness, for there is no other way a marked outcast can help their fellow Eldari wandering in the dark.
Yerliet casts a grief-stricken glance at you, and then her face turns implacable once again. Look, we've all had it rough these past few weeks. Some more than others, granted, but we do still have a lot of work ahead of us. I have to ask, are you in any condition to actually do it?
I found myself in the Dark City after following the twisted roads of truth and lies. And although the truth blossomed like an ugly bud and scratched my soul with its thorns, I did find the answers to my questions. Those who come back from the dark of the webway will never be the same. But it is we who change while the surrounding world remains imminent. This thought gives me strength.
Yerliet's words fall quietly, almost weightlessly. Okay, I'll take that as a yes. And for what it's worth, although I myself bear none of the blame, I am still sorry about the fate of your world, and the role that my predecessor may have played in it.
I have no need for your sympathy, Alantok. Besides, neither Monkey nor my dark kin found the decaying remnants of Kruderok. Perhaps all is not lost. Perhaps we may yet bring back what has been taken.
Yerliet's gaze dimly wanders the bridge, but the corners of her lips twitch traitorously upward, and her features soften. Oh, that is an interesting note. Yeah, it was mentioned that, Nocturne, who we haven't seen in a while now. We haven't seen him since he spirited away that first Farseer in the Tower of the Rising Tempest. But yeah, it was specifically mentioned that he made off with the remains of Kruderok. He never did deliver the rest of the resistance to us either. I hope we do get some sort of resolution for that, even if it is an unfortunate one, both for closure and to decide how we react the next time we encounter him. Suffer not the Xenos to live. You know, unless they prove their worth. So tell me, things with Eklundil and Moran seemed a bit strained back on Janus. Any idea what fate awaits the former Farseer?
Plendil chose to stay on the Lilithon together with Muaran and the rest of our kinsmen. Perhaps it is for the best. The stars in this part of the galaxy are hostile to the children of Asuryan.
Oh, okay. I mean, not gonna lie, I was really expecting a more ominous answer. I guess that sounds okay, all things considered. And what about you? Obviously you're with us for now, but where does your path lead after that?
On the trail of a monkey called Caligos Winterscale. Even a worm may harm a wounded tiger by bringing infection into an open wound. And the wounds of my people have been bleeding ever since Crudarach's demise. The spirits of my kin need a poultice, a hope, not the executioner's sword already poised to fall.
Right. The whole thing with Caligos and, Quetzal Trimmier. Yep, I hear you. Best to stay focused on the short term, lest you get lost in the uncertainties of the long. A lesson I'm sure your Farseers would do well to learn. Alright, Juliet, I'll leave you be. Enjoy your time on the bench, trying to clear your head. Perhaps you'll win me back over yet. Who's to say? Stranger things have certainly happened. So where are we? Telecos Epsilon? Ah, right, yes. We're right next to Janus. That does make sense. Because we just came out of the portal. Also... yes, a new batch of contracts. Okay. Looks like we're officially back in business. And if we're seeing new trade contracts, have colonies followed suit? Oh, interesting. We literally just started this project on the bridge. Right, because our efficiency is over 10, which I have heard can cause some projects to complete instantly. And we do have new Act 4 projects. Okay. Dargonis, also overly efficient. As is Kiava Gamma. So in theory, Foulstone, Dargonis, and Kiava Gamma may see instant project completion, at least for shorter projects. Janus and Viabos will try to prioritize bumping their efficiency as well, if at all possible. But yeah, let's hit the pause button real quick. I'll take stock of all the various new things available and set up some sort of game plan here. Then we'll do some literal world building. Be right back. And we're back. All right, let's get this settled. Starting with Foulstone, where we're headed straight for Lightbringers. With the warp currents tangled, refugees lose their way and perish in terror. The rogue trader can send out pious patrols to help those in distress and light warp beacons, which comes with a very modest cost, Promethium and Plasteel, both of which we have in abundance, and will net us a notable security bump across the entire Protectorate. Plus, 5,000 rep with the Imperial Navy. Certainly nothing to sneeze at. Next up, Janus, which, as aforementioned, we'll be prioritizing efficiency on. So, we're headed straight for Secret Lair. A new secret lodge of Xeno specialists will decipher the written records left by the ancient Xenos that once inhabited Janus. And still do, but, who's counting? Slightly stiffer price on this one, 2 Xenotech. And in return, we will get 5,000 rep with the Kaspalika, plus 3 efficiency, which will bump us up to exactly 10. And then, unfortunately, a minus 3 hit to security. But we've actually got so much overflow on security that we'll still be at cap. After that, we've got Dargonis, where we're going for Praising the Muses. Not my first choice, but it is related to one of the projects on Foulstone, so I figured we'd just go ahead and bank it now. The patronage of architects and other artists will allow for the creation of amazing and monumental works, marked with the rogue trader's likeness. Again, fairly modest expense. We have no shortage of plasteel. Adamantine's a little stiffer, but we've actually got plenty of that as well. And we'll get a nice flat +5 profit factor. Not too shabby. Viabo 6. Again, going for efficiency. We are starting with Pure Blood. The rogue trader may grant the convicts the right to buy, with their labor, the freedom of their children born in captivity. Which I feel like is something they should probably already get, but you know, you gotta work within the system, I guess, so at least now we're giving them some way out. Which comes with no expense, but provides some pretty ample rewards, both financial and moral. So, yeah. And Kiaba Gamma, where we've got another project tied to Foulstone. Orbital Shipyard. An orbital shipyard will provide the Imperium's massive vessels with proper repair and produce new void ships. This one has what is probably our steepest cost, at 8 people and 3 mechanisms, both of which we're a bit short on. But it nets us another +5 profit factor, and another bump with the Imperial Navy. 10k in total, but I think that does actually leave us just shy on an actual rank. And as for our trade contracts, I think we only have interest in about half of these right now. We'll do this one, Emperor's Chains. Even a creation as monumental as the God Emperor statue on Footfall requires regular maintenance. The station is willing to pay with thousands of mercenaries in exchange for a new set of chains to bind the asteroids to the statue. Plasteel for people. That is an ideal exchange. Though I will note, we are starting to dip down a bit on plasteel. Not an issue just yet, but we will want to keep an eye on it. And then, as for these two, Heirs and Pyramids of Death, those are straightforward, profit factor for rare resources, neither of which we really need. Not just yet, anyway. But I think we will go for Mech Sages, since we have ample adamantine, but do have need of mechanisms. The Imperial Navy has tried to conscript the Fellowship of Mech Sages on Larkeen, renowned creators of airborne machines, by force. The brave technomats have decided to fight back, and now they require armor for their flying constructs. Which costs us 5 adamantine and nets us 7 mechanisms. I'd call that a fair trade. We'll have 25 and 15 respectively. And then I think we'll skip on these last two. We don't really need weapons, and we definitely don't need plasteel or provisions. At least not for the prices being asked. So I guess that's it. We'll pick at the rest of these projects as resources require, but for now, I think we're good. And we are done on Foulstone. But we are not on Dargonis or Kiaba Gamma. Okay. Looks like those two are still in progress, but we can do something else here. I wonder why it worked here, but not on these other two. Well, regardless, for now we'll go ahead and continue with False Wonders. By showing illusions to the masses, it is possible to gain a lot more attention and attract pilgrims. No actual costs, just pure profit, so that one's kind of a no-brainer. And instant completion again. I mean, we are well over 10 on Dargonis. I don't know, I'm just not really sure how that works, but okay. Perhaps Foulstone is the outlier. Regardless, I'm thinking we might skip missionaries for now. The Coronis Expanse is in need of stalwart defenders, and Foulstone can help by sending its children to every dark corner of the sector. Yeah, see, I'm not crazy about just shooting people's children into space. Also, the price is pretty steep, and the reward would be almost completely useless to us. Can't do this one till we wrap up with the Drusians. Which I suppose just leaves this. The Crucible. After millennia of lying under the monastery, St. Cognatius's titanic machine will soon be launched. It will take resources to awaken the relic, but doing so will bring glory to the Von Valancius name. That's the grand terraforming machine, I think. The one alluded to in previous colony events. Price is actually pretty tame, considering the rewards. Which includes +3 profit factor, 9 provisions, +4 complacency, which we don't really need. But most notably, Holy Man, which grants bonus damage and temporary wounds whenever the character uses their Origin ability, which for Valen is pretty much every single turn. That's the one we use to boost his damage every time he fires a shot. So that is a fantastic get. Basically just a semi-permanent plus 10% damage bump. Not to mention the constantly cycling ablative health. Lord Captain, the Crucible's great sculpting is underway. Foulstone is being transformed right before our eyes into a fertile world with lush groves and clean water. However, there is evidence that the Crucible has also created humans. Oh, man. From the mouth of the relic came several thousand people, who, speaking an archaic form of Low Gothic, demanded to be given orders. They cultivate land, build houses and production facilities with obedience, and in general have a remarkable range of skills and knowledge. However, it seems that these people completely lack their own free will, and for this, the monks have named them Touched. The tech priests who served the Crucible came upon birthing vats built into the relic. The machine is constantly growing new Touched within them. There is a split among the faithful, though many call it a miracle sent by the Emperor himself and want to quickly put the Touch to work. A part of the population is frightened by these soulless creatures born from the ancient machine. They demand that the planet's learned men intervene in the great sculpting and find a way to stop the production of the Touched. Why? Do they actually pose some sort of threat? Or are they simply unsettling? They do not appear to pose a threat. The autopsy of several specimens has shown that they are physiologically identical to ordinary humans. No traces of corruption or Xeno influence were found either. However, their obedience is a double-edged sword. They obey any orders without knowing or caring who gives them, and thus nothing prevents a cunning intruder from bending them to their will, creating an army of obedient slaves or spies at their disposal. Okay, well that sounds like a pretty major security risk. What say my advisors on this? Heinrichs? Oh good, we got Argenta instead. They were begotten by the relic of St. Cognatius, which means their existence pleases the Emperor. Your people must be reminded that it is so. Arrange a public ceremony of tonsure to initiate the Touched into the Order of the Hammer, and a service dedicated to reading parables about the acts of St. Cognatius and his followers. Why don't you make the first move and assemble a mighty force from these Touched men? If they are so obedient and diligent, then they will make fine troops. Assign a loyal commander to each squad to keep an eye on them, and these strange people will turn from a threat into defenders of the Imperium. Sure, right. Until their commanding officer dies and they get conflicting orders and you go full Charlie Foxtrot.
Lack of will. Registering a high probability of manufacturing failure within the Crucible's sacred processes. It is recommended to dispose of a finished batch of units and halt production of new ones. The algorithm of the Great Sculpting requires further examination.
Thank you, Pascal. Finally, someone talking sense. Yeah, I mean, aside from just the basic security and functionality concerns, it also just kind of really feels like a bad idea to have a bunch of soulless flesh suits running around in a setting where demons exist and are constantly on the lookout for easy hosts. But, let's not be too hasty. I suppose we should at least get a gander at the other potential rewards. For Argenta's thing, bump on complacency and efficiency, both largely meaningless right now, and Icons of the Touched. Sacred icons painted by the Touched adorn the ship's decks. Enemy ships have -30 to crit chance and warp damage. Pretty underwhelming. I think we can pass on that. Then Ulfar's thing. +2 security. Again, largely meaningless. Crucible-born Tempest. The Touched who were recruited as enforcers gave form to the ancient knowledge stored in their minds by modifying the Void Ship's weapons using sacred archaeotech. Which does sound pretty cool, but I've got to say, as far as dorsal macro cannons go, that feels relatively underwhelming. Then we've got this one, which I think, yeah, that's just our default response, which makes it the worst of them. That's a net gain of 0. And then we've got Pask, which grants complacency and security, albeit at the cost of efficiency, which I suppose does make sense. Not super concerning, considering we'd still be at cap on all 3 stats. With our real prize being Wisdom Extractor. All allies gain +5 armor and +5 crit chance. The archaeotech secrets extracted from the heads of the Touched were given to the gunsmiths tending the rogue trader's armory. I mean, I've got to say, that does come across as the most consistently useful of our 3 potential prizes. Plus, it doesn't hurt that it was also the option I was already leaning towards, so I think that's what we're going with. I see no reason not to. Alright, Pask, I'll leave it to you. Let's shut this thing down, figure out what went wrong.
The knowledge will be extracted by any means necessary.
The Touched did not try to defend themselves or resist in any way. They accepted death in much the same way they lived life, quietly and obediently. The unrest among the citizens has simmered down, and the Great Sculpting continues as before. But the development of fertile land has noticeably slowed without the Touched. Which is fair. The Tech Priest's investigation uncovered a number of defects in the operation of the birthing vats within the Crucible. It was these defects that caused such strange obedience within the Touched. The proposition of making improvements to a sacred relic filled the Tech Priest with the most profound dread, and thus Foulstone was left without its taciturn workers. However, The priceless knowledge extracted by the servants of the Omnissiah was a great reward in and of itself. That it is. Shame we couldn't get the birthing vets working properly, but I'll otherwise see that as an absolute win. I mean, really, at the end of the day, working with any archaeotech tends to be pretty touch and go to begin with. This time just slightly more literal than most. Moving on. Oh, right. Yes, we haven't finished the other prereq projects yet. Orbital Platform and Praise the Muses. Yeah, okay, we'll hold off on that then. We have access to rank 5 projects, but only one is actually unlocked right now, and I'd like to have all 3 available before I make my choice. Though I will say, I'm definitely leaning towards Sacred Comet. Aside from literally giving us our own Death Star, that one also gives +5 to all of our attributes, which is pretty fantastic. But, I'll hold off on locking that down just yet until 1 or 2 more jumps out. Not that we could take it right now anyway, considering we haven't met the prereq for it. That said, I think that's it for colony projects for now, but I would like to run by Danrock real quick, see if we've unlocked any new prizes. One sec. And we do indeed. Although, sadly, we are, as predicted, just shy on a new rank with the Imperial Navy. We did, however, gain +10 profit factor, which was just enough to get some very nice upgrades. The Ancient Plasma Rifle for Pask, and Holy Power Armor for Ulfar. And then also some Resonance Grenades, I guess. Which, we'll take. But yes, these are very huge gets for Pask and Ulfar, respectively. So let's go ahead and get those things equipped. Get a gander at the actual numbers. Holy Power Armor. Net +20 on armor, +2 on deflection, +5 strength, as well as a reactive blast ability, though the threshold to actually trigger it seems set so high. I don't really see that ever coming into play. Oh, yeah, because, that pushed him to 100+ armor. Though I suppose enemies do still have armor pen, so, I suppose he can still technically take damage. Though I will say I'm also very tempted to take, I think, Steel Shell. It's an exemplar talent that doubles deflection. Same with Pask, honestly. I might toss it to both of them. Oh, I do love the way that thing looks. That might be our forever armor. But hey, here's a new plasma rifle to play with too. Have fun. And just at a glance here, we're seeing a 20-point dip on armor pen, plus the loss of that 3-point dodge reduct. But, I feel like the almost double damage yield more than makes up for it. We will have to be careful, though. If that thing overheats, it's basically instant death. Anyway, I think that's it for the bookkeeping. Let's push out to the sector map. See if we get any immediate pings. No, okay. Interesting. I really expected some immediate events. Though we can see several new blobs out here, plus a few quest markers. Footfall's obviously Jai's thing. That's Yurliet's thing. Which means this one is Heinrich's. Though short term, I think we want to haul aft back to Dargonis. Get this Abbey business taken care of. And then we can just kind of figure out where to go from there. Possibly Heinrich's thing? That's just a couple of hops out from there. But of course, we'll worry about that later. I'm not even sure we're going to make it to Dargonis. We may very well trigger an event en route. Yeah, just mapping routes here real quick. We have a couple of rumor blobs out there too, so in theory, if we did push out to Gartra Falls Calamity, we could knock those out at the same time. Wow, that's actually kind of awkward. All these systems are clustered close to each other, but they're not all interconnected. Anyway, let's see if we can even get out to Dargonis. We'll let future Retcon worry about the rest. And no travel event. Wow. Unexpected. Didn't actually think we'd get this far, so I guess we'll poke our heads in, see if anything happens. Nope. I suppose we'll do follow-up on these colony events that just popped. Foulstone should be ready. Oh, no, apparently not. Apparently we still need Praise the Muses. Interesting. Though again, I'm also very tempted to just go with this one. But no, I'll at least give it some more consideration before I bite the bullet. Jane is still running. We'll need one more jump. Dargonis also still running. Huh. But pure blood complete. Caps out efficiency, nets us +5 profit. If there is supposed to be some way you can tell how long these projects take, please let me know in the comments below. But for now, we'll just keep the ball rolling with Navy whips. The disciplinary officers of the Imperial Navy will make for wonderful wardens on Viabo 6. No actual cost, just a requirement threshold. And in exchange, yet more rep, more colony stats, and Craven's Bane. And that does bump our rank with Imperial Navy. So yeah, not bad, even if some of these rewards are of questionable use. And Kiava Gamma. There's our new shipyard. Which again, nets us +5 profit factor. So we should have at least a few more items waiting for us back at Danrock, but for now, let's go ahead and set a new project real quick. And this time, I think we're going for Archive of the Expanse. Kiava Gamma will become the main data repository of the Expanse. Thousands of scribes register cargo, and the lenses of watchful cogitators process myriads of documents. Pretty hefty price on this one, 9 people, 3 mechanisms, but I would say it is well worth it. Aside from a Protectorate-wide efficiency boost. That's also +4 profit factor. And the Eye of the Omnissiah, a high-end combat computer for our ship. Though I'm not sure if it's actually better than the one we've currently got equipped, I'll have to double check that. Also, I guess there must be more projects coming down the queue in Act 5. I'd heard it was pretty short, but, like, we haven't even filled half these project slots yet. Alright, let's go ahead and resolve this Dargonis event. Which, apparently, I have to be physically present to resolve, so let's fly right over here real quick. Navy feud. A feud has broken out between 2 influential admirals of the Imperial Navy. having already led to armed skirmishes and even outright battles, calling to attention a favor he once did for House von Valancius. One of the admirals has appealed to the rogue trader's colony for support. Providing shelter grants +2 security. Providing plasteel for repairs grants +4 security. Not really needed, but I mean, still. Oh, weird. Okay, so this one doesn't actually cost us anything. It just checks if we have an efficiency of 6 or higher. Which grants the same reward. Okay, so that's basically just a way to circumvent the plasteel cost. Which does make it seem like the best option. And then just turning him away grants +3 profit factor, which would be nice, but also seems like kind of a jerk move, considering he may indeed be owed a favor. No indications he's in the wrong, so yeah, I guess we'll provide full support. Bank yet more security, why not? The Admiral appreciates the assistance, which has exceeded his every expectation. From now on, his ships will watch over your colony. Fantastic. Man, I almost pity the Drukhari if they ever try attacking Dargonis again. I do not see that working out well for them. Just want to peek in real quick, get a lay of the land. Come on, Kibbs, let's get you broken back in. Oh, and we are right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand aside. No need to crowd around. Governor Drivestem will take care of everything. This is ridiculous. Such a thing happening right in the Rogue Trader's palace. You are confronted by the sight of dead bodies at the entrance to the palace. The corpses have been hauled into a pile. Some are dressed in the uniforms of palace wardens, while others are arrayed in the clothing typical of Dargonis nobility. Upon seeing you, the young enforcer stands at attention and swallows noisily. His voice trembles as he says, "Your lordship, we are honored by your presence." What's all this? What's going on? You see, your lordship, those people wanted to attack. The warden clears his throat. Second Lieutenant of the Palace Guard, Ellen Waite, reporting. Shortly before you arrived, we averted an assassination attempt on the rogue trader. The palace soldiers detected intruders and engaged them in combat.
Observation. There are rare, high-functioning servitor specimens present among the expired units. Such specimens are traditionally bestowed upon the noble houses that are most loyal to the sacred fellowship of the Adeptus Mechanicus.
House Skaprok. Interesting. Feels pretty blatant. The augmetics of the deceased do differ from the implants ordinary people wear. Their intricate construction makes it clear that the deceased were not ordinary humans. Abelard frowns. As far as I know, House Skaprok has received such servitors from the Crimson Priesthood as gifts in the past, although this is my first time seeing one myself. Right, so it's basically common knowledge amongst the noble houses. So this is way too blatant. Skaprok was the second most respectful of the noble houses at my ceremony, and I want to say there was even some romantic interest between one of their members and Abelard's great-great-granddaughter. So this could be an attempt to take both of them down at once. Where's my court chancellor, Clementia? I think she's with the rest of House Worsurian. Detained in the throne room, that is. Governor Drivestem has gathered all of Dargonis' nobility there to pronounce a guilty verdict against House Worsurian. You don't say, despite knowing that I was on my way to personally oversee this investigation? Awfully bold of him. I take it that's why he's not here to greet me? I do not know, your lordship. Perhaps he is... The guard throws a fearful gaze at Abelard. You can probably find him in the throne room, where the governor intends to put House Worsurian on trial. Interesting change up there, bud. Let's get a gander at these corpses real quick. The bodies bear multiple wounds. It is evident that they died recently. There was a crumpled up letter in the inside pocket of an assailant's blood-soaked jacket. You don't say. Let me guess, something bluntly incriminating? Blood-stained letter. The letter is soaked with blood. Only a portion of the text is readable through the crimson blotches. Full and discreet. Keep away from the lords and ladies. You must look like a noble to the servants and wardens. Do not engage in conversation with anyone. Your task is to avoid exposing yourself ahead of time, and let the Worsurians get away while the wardens are busy guarding the rogue traitor. Yeah, that sounds about right. Something to effectively incriminate both houses simultaneously. Even though there would be no reason to give someone sent on such a sensitive mission written correspondence spelling it out. Though, I mean, to be entirely fair, I guess I can't completely disregard the possibility that the Worsurians or the Goprok are up to no good. I just haven't really seen any signs of it yet. Obviously, the Worsurians, they've been nothing but loyal thus far. And Goprok has generally shown itself to be pretty benign. The whole Kiaba Gamma thing wasn't really their fault. That was Cubist Delphine. Though I suppose I could see the Goprok kid, the one who fell in love with Worsurian's descendant, mounting a misguided rescue effort.
Let us know, Dawdle.
Since, of course, if the entire house were to be executed, she would be numbered among them. This does, however, definitely smack of a misdirect. Either the misguided efforts of a love-struck noble, separate from whatever is going on with House Worsurian, or a very ambitious attempt to take down two rival houses in one fell swoop. My first instinct is Sourback. I don't think Drivestem would be this stupid, but I could see Drivestem trying to capitalize on it, since it would also benefit him. That said, I guess we'll find out next time. We'll hit the pause button for now. I will do a quick canvas around the courtyard here, make sure there's no other potential clues we might be missing, and we will pick up here next time. Oh, I guess I might double back to the ship too. I forgot to hit Danrock up before we came down here. I know at the very least we should have access to a nice new flamer upgrade for Ulfar. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Yuri V23, Revenant, Alois, Aero Bowman, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
Of course. Always at your service.